Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
In front of you, you see our Russian cavalry. Russians are big on cavalry. They had lots of cavalry and they were pretty akin to knights. Although they never called themselves knights. They never considered themselves knights.
They don't look like it.
Well, I had a bit of trouble putting together. I wanted to use the plastic figures, the same as the figures I've already got, and I had a bit of trouble sourcing Russian cavalry on cheap. So I went for Norman cavalry with a Norman body because it looks much like a Russian body, and a Russian helmet with Russian arms, and I made the coats, the checkered, the coats that the horses have on as well. And I made a collection of different types, so there's some that only cover the front and there's some that cover both the front and the back. That one covers the front, so it covers only the front and they cover the back. The cavalry carried lances. They would use lances to attack with, to charge with. What does charge mean?
To move forward quite fast.
To point your weapon forward.
Right.
To charge your weapon is to point your weapon forwards. So you would go in with the lance and stab at the enemy, and then you would discard your lance, usually it would be stuck in someone at this point, and start hitting people with long-handled weapons. Like with the Russians it would be mostly axes. Axes, the occasional mace, but Russians big on axes. Probably because they're very useful to have in Russia. Russia was mostly woodland, and so axes probably came 10 a penny there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Northern England, a lot of troops used axes for the same reason, because everyone owned an axe. And let's face it, it doesn't take a huge amount of skill to use an axe.
We own an axe.
We've got an axe, yes.
It's so blunt.
It is now. Actually, believe it or not, cutting wood, I used to cut a lot of wood at one point.
And I used to with you.
Yeah, we used to go into the garden and we used to cut logs, you get
2
a log and
hours
split it in half.
later. And so yeah, this happened then. Right, want to go upstairs now? Yes, please.
Yes. So we used to cut a lot of wood, and a blunt axe cuts wood better than a sharp axe. The sharp axe sticks in the wood.
Yeah, no, because when we cut logs though, they're already cut for us, so all we all have to split it.
No, we split it. Yeah, they're circles, so you just split.
Which we're trying with your blunt axe on now, and it's useless.
Yeah, because the axe is now quite old and has gone too blunt.
Still looks cool.
Yeah, but if it has a sharpened, if you sharpen the end of it, you can't sharpen it too much.
Otherwise it'll get stuck in the wood.
And also, it gets stuck in the chopping block as well, which was really annoying when you get an axe.
Yeah, that used to happen all the time.
Yeah, when you sharpen the axe, it got stuck. So it went straight through the log and then stuck in the chopping block.
Yeah, you did be like, me, manly man.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm gonna act as cool as possible to rip this out of the log.
And we'd both be standing on the log at the same time while trying to pull the axe up. Anyway, sorry, Russians. We go off topic too much. Sorry.
The point of this doesn't count.
Yeah. So the Russians probably had exactly the same conversation about cutting wood. They said, yes, me and Vladimir were in the woods the other day and the axe got stuck in the tree. I couldn't believe it. And then there was a Crusader knight and the axe got stuck in his helmet. I can't believe that either. So anyway, these are Russian cavalry. They were relatively heavily armoured. The horses wore armour. One of the main reasons the Russians took to the horses wearing armour was they were often fighting Mongolians. And the Mongolians were arrow heavy. They used to just shower everyone with arrows. And so
like Persians.
Yes. And so they needed to armour the horse, stop the arrows from hitting the horse and making the knight fight on foot. So they went in for that, and then when they came to fighting the Crusaders, it kind of was beneficial because the Crusaders did use a lot of crossbows, things like that. So it carried on in Russia for quite a while. They carried on using that sort of gear.
Skill.
Although, yeah. Later on they did discard the heavy armour, and in fact they discarded it earlier than many European nations did. Mainly so Russian armies could move faster. Also, unlike actual knights, these are more like men-at-arms. Men-at-arms and mounted sergeants. because they would primarily fight on horseback. Knights didn't primarily fight on horseback. They would charge on horseback, but they would do most of their fighting on foot. Hence the types of weapons that knights carried along with the horse. You know, a lot of the weapons that knights carried couldn't be used on horseback anyway, because knights are really best on foot.
That's why they dismount to fight.
Yes, yeah, and it's much easier to dismount from a Crusader saddle than it is.
Unlike the Livonians, who don't do that.
No, the Livonians did dismount to fight. They were not.
No, not in the last battle.
No, they refused to leave their horses. That was their problem. I'd have just left my horse and run away because. But I'm not a knight.
If you're a Crusader,
you don't run away. Yeah.
And you're a knight. There's no point in running, you're slow anyway. You're a knight.
Yeah, knights were quite slow, especially moving around.
Because they're covered in armour, like full on armour.
So, next question.
Next question.
Do you have a question yet?
Oh god.
You haven't asked a question yet. Go on, ask a question. Go on, see what you can do.
And were all the people who were in the heavy cavalry veteran?
Yes, they would be. They would be.
So they would have risen from the ranks?
Yes, they would have risen up through the ranks, and the best troops rode at the front. Because the first person to hit the enemy used to get a free mug of mead.
First person, it's like first strike on Halo.
Yeah, basically. The
first person to kill someone gets a star.
So you would actually have a handful of real nut jobs right at the front, screaming at each other, charging really fast, trying to get in.
I get the meat first. No, me. Yes, me.
Yeah, and then the actual main body would hit with their lancers down, and the lancers would go in, and your ranks would already be slightly disabled.
You're aware that the people in front aren't going to make it. So that means someone else.
They did. Alexander Nevsky actually led the cavalry at Narva, which, man, you did get dehorsed. But he actually fought hand-to-hand combat with the Swedish king, which was...
The Swedish king was already wounded at the point though. And the Swedish king was about to kill Nevsky if it weren't for Nevsky's friend. So don't put that in.
Well, we from the Swedish, we've got the Swedish histories, we've got the Russian histories, and we've got the local Livonian histories, the Latvian legends and stuff. So you have to piece it together. But historically, we do have the body of the King of Sweden, and we know that he was hit in the face with some sort of bladed weapon.
Yes.
Which would back up Nevsky's version of events, because Nevsky say he hit the King of Sweden in the face with a sword.
With a sword?
Yeah, and that ended up damaging the king's face.
No.
Why no?
The king was knight.
Yeah.
The king had knight armour.
Yeah, and a sword can't penetrate, but if he is using a large sword, that could do damage. And also, Nevsky...
Like I said, Nevsky was dehorsed. Nevsky wouldn't have been using massive weapons like that in the first place. And if he did, they'd be on his horse.
But Nevsky was dehorsed, he fell off his horse, and the King of Sweden dismounted to fight Nevsky.
Yes.
Which was stupid.
The king wanted to fight a fair battle with the king.
Yeah, you don't fight. That's why knights are so stupid. Right? Crusader knights never did that. Right? You never get a Crusader knight dismounting in order to fight a man heroically hand-to-hand combat. No, he's just going to ride over the guy. That's why the French were so rubbish at fighting against the English in that period. Because the French had the chivalry code and they tried to fight on horseback, and then they would dismount fight in hand-to-hand against an individual soldier. But the English didn't fight like that. The English just stabbed anything in front of them. They had no concept of being chivalry.
No, I believe that the King of Sweden was about to strike down...
You're biased because you're pro-Swedish.
Strike down Nevsky, and his friend, one of Nevsky's friends, stepped in and took down the king.
But Nevsky had to have had a cinematic, heroic arm wound, at least in his shoulder, because that always looks good.
No.
You are biased, I must admit.
No, why not? I'd much rather listen to the Livonian side, because they can't have been biased because they were there. But they were never on anyone's side.
Yeah, no, the Livonians were... Yeah. They didn't have any skin in the game, really. Yeah. So they'd have no reason to lie.
Exactly.
In which case, Alexander just fell off his horse. So that's a bit dull. And it misses out the whole thing of the Swedish king. Never mind. Anyway.
Because that's probably exaggerated.
It probably is, but we do have his body. And his body does have, his skull has injuries to his face.
He was a king and he was a warrior.
Yeah,
that's also normal.
It's also unlikely that he took his helmet off. So I do back you up there.
Right.
Because if your knight takes his helmet off, that's surrendering.
He's dead, basically, really.
No, it's surrendering. You know, if you take your helmet off, you
and he wasn't one for surrender.
He wouldn't have surrendered. No, the King of Sweden would never have surrendered. He would have to have been unconscious in order to surrender. Interesting thing about knights with helmets, the Russians would take their helmets off to talk. They physically remove their helmet to talk. And that was quite confusing to the Swedes because the Swedes kept thinking the Russians were trying to surrender. When they would ride out to meet them. And then all the Russians would take their helmets off and they'd go, oh, they've surrendered. They weren't, they were just negotiating terms. Yeah, it's interesting. If you can actually wear all your armour and weapons and stuff, but if you take your helmet off, you're not classed as being armed.
Right.
On a battlefield. And it was perfectly safe to walk around a battlefield with no helmet on because no one would attack you. But that's only in Europe. So I don't think it counted in Russia. Different culture. So yeah, that's the Russian cavalry. Any more questions?
No.
No? That was dull. You just don't like Russians, that's your problem.
What?
That's it. You just got a thing against Russians. Yes?
I have not got a thing against Russians.
Just all this pro-Swedish stuff.
I was just telling you my point of view of what could have happened. Alright?
Yeah. Right, thank you very much for watching. He's going to do the outro.
If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. And tell us, comment down below what you think of the Russian heavy cavalry. That's it from me.
And everything from him. Goodbye.